At 2 million masorti conservative Jews, okay, 2 million Reform, another 1.5 million Orthodox, and the rest are, in Israel, there are a few million secular Jews. That's estimated another 4-5 million. And, there are just 14,000 million.
But in the masorti movement?
2 million around the world, including North America.
From a total of 13?
From a total of 13, yeah. There are almost 1,000 synagogues around the world, 700 in North America, 75 in Latin America, 35 in Europe, 65, I think, in Israel and other parts of the world.
La gran diferencia es que en Israel un público muy grande es contado como secular.
Sí, pero habló de 1,5 millones de ortodoxos.
Sí.
O sea, menos ortodoxos a nivel mundial, conservador.
Hoy en día, אם יש פחות אורתודוקסים קונסרבטיביים ברפורמים.
Yes.
Sí.
Including
It depends where in the world. In the United States, okay, there's a small decline in some parts of the United States. There's a small, the conservative movement is going down, and we lost some communities there, or numbers altogether.
Why and where are they going?
In the United States, the reason is it's a historic reason. In the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the conservative movement was growing. It was the mainstream, and everyone who was just Jewish belonged to a conservative synagogue. If you want to be a more ideological approach, you would go to Reform or the Orthodox. Okay, today the movement sort of like. I'm saying these in general terms, but there was sort of like a freeze of the picture of the movement of the way it was in the 70s and 80s, okay? And a lot of Jews since the 90s and now also feel that the conservative values of the conservative movement are too conservative, and they're sort of like not up to date with the more modern world, and that the conservative movement is not facing in North America the challenges that they are up to. Okay, and therefore, if someone is trying to, and we are living in a more in a place where people are trying to be in a place which is a little bit easier, so they're going through the Reform, or we also see a phenomenon for my young people, okay, that are moving to the Orthodox because they want something more committed, something more serious. They go to Camp Ramah. Okay, you know Camp Ramah, or they go to Israel for the year and they become stronger in their Judaism. They want to experience something that's more engaging, and then they go back to the communities, and not many people keep kosher, not people observe Shabbat like they experienced it in Camp Ramah or in their year in Israel. And then they, no, we want a more ideological approach. So we see a lot of people moving from the young people moving to the Orthodoxy. So we have a big challenge in North America. In Europe, we're very fast growing. It's amazing. In Europe, 5-6 years ago, there were 10-15 communities. Today, there are more than 35 communities. Why? Because we are the new kid in the block. Okay, the Reform, liberal, it's not called Reform, it's the liberal, progressive movement have been there all the time. And people are now looking for a more traditional approach. Okay, and they are coming to the masorti movement. But also we see a lot of people moving out of the Orthodox world into the masorti movement because the traditional, tolerant, and more open Orthodox world of post-Holocaust European Jewry is becoming more and more Haredi, more and more ultra-Orthodox. The rabbis that are being sent to these communities come from Israel, from Haredi communities, and they don't have a good contact with the community, with the people there. So some of these communities or some of these people have moved to the conservative movement. And in Latin America, it really depends. I think it's stable, although we are experiencing in some places a decline because of the phenomena that I explained that are happening in North America. And we did have some golden years during the years of Rabbi Marshall Meyer, and now we need to think, how do we renew ourselves here? It's a big challenge for our movement here, and we're not doing enough. I have to, this is a forum where I don't have to talk PR. I can talk in an open way. We have a lot to do in Latin America to renew our movement and our message, and really believe in our message. And in Israel, it's also growing very much. The communities, it's a great success, and they're small, but they're influencing the Israeli society very much. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's 50-50, maybe more that are not egalitarian. In Latin America, I would say it's 40-60, 60%.
Depends on the country. But
Depends on the country, but if, in a general way, I would say maybe 60% egalitarian, 40% non-egalitarian. But it also depends what kind of form of egalitarian, okay? Because some women are called up to the Torah, but they don't lead services, or the opposite, okay? In Israel, most of the communities are egalitarian, although there are some that are not. And in North America, the majority are egalitarian. Actually, no, it's separate between the United States, which is
Canada.
and Canada. Canada is much more traditional. I would say it's like Bet El, like Bet
here.
El. Yeah, and it's very important for us. I meet rabbinical students from Los Angeles, which is the most egalitarian, and they're like, wow, how could communities be, and there's separate seating, okay? So I say, wait, we are a pluralistic and open movement. We're not only judged by this issue of egalitarian. It's really important. I myself, I'm very egalitarian, and I believe in that approach, but I've really learned to understand how important it is for each community to have their own traditions, and for everyone to be respectful of that, so we don't have the fights of the Jews that are enough in other parts. Yes.
One more question.
Sorry.
And in the egalitarian, do the women count to make a minyan or not?
In many of them they do. In many of them they